Thursday morning on the Stansberry Show here at Rock 106.9. We're also online at WRQK.com. Any show you missed this last week, including yesterday's, you can find right there. WRQK.com going to be very important for you at 9 a.m. because every weekday morning I pass out the first Rock the Bank $1,000 keyword. You hear that, you enter it at WRQK.com, and then you got a shot at heading into your weekend with $1,000. Yes, I know it's only Thursday. Tomorrow will be Friday, but yeah, I bet you'll be in Friday mood pretty easily once we give you the $1,000. We'll do that coming up at 9 o'clock. Also at 9 o'clock, we're going to have to take a look at Scott Stapp a little bit. He out there now with some new stuff. Creed has done their cruises they were doing, right? Summer of '99 cruises, I think that's what those were called. I know Tonic was part of that. Creed, few others. Looked like a good time. Some of the videos and photos I've seen out of that seemed like a good time. I've never been on a cruise. If I was going to do one, it would be something like that. One of my Kiss regrets is that I never went on one of theirs. They did all kind of special stuff on those, and I wish I would have seen one of those. I'm not necessarily a cruise person. I've never understood the cruise really. As to me, it feels like Vegas on the ocean. Everything everybody tells me what they like about a cruise, I'm like, so the MGM? Like, I mean, that's literally, you just described a casino and it floats. All right, great. I guess that part's kind of awesome. But Scott Stapp has said something very interesting about the hatred of his band Creed. I think he has stumbled onto an interesting point, although I think he's blaming the wrong people. And we will get to this coming up at 9 o'clock. But he's talking about how his hatred is, you could, liken it to LeBron James and, other dominant, super popular. Taylor Swift kind of comes to mind. And there's no denying that some people just wanted to hate Creed because of the oversaturation, right? There's a Nickelback factor there, too. People, I don't think, really hate Nickelback that much. I think it's the fact that the saturation point's pretty high with them, or had been for a little while. Now it's not as much, and people are like, yeah, you know what, I kind of like that guy. Yeah, all right, that one was kind of good. Yeah, I figured you out was pretty good, right? And like people are, starting to willing to admit that. Same thing with Creed, but he's talking about the hatred of this band, and he actually thinks it was the media, not the people, that hated him. And I think he has it a little twisted. And so we'll get to that. We'll take a look at what Scott Stapp had to say in my thoughts on that. 9 a.m. this morning. Like I said, we'll also be rocking the bank with you as well. The media does not seem to want to let this Harrison Butker audio go. This man gave a commencement speech at a conservative university known as Benedictine, and America doesn't care. America's not outraged about what he said. Some people were mildly annoyed about it, and that is the more reasonable response to what it is he said. But the media is pissed that you're not pissed, so they keep trying to keep this a story. They asked Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes about it yesterday because, well, Harrison Butker is a kicker for the Chiefs, and Andy Reid is, well, the head coach for the Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if you've ever heard, is the quarterback for the Chiefs. They teed up these questions for these two men expecting answers that they did not get. This story should be over, and maybe it will be after this week. We'll play you the audio of what Harrison actually said and not what people think he said. And also let you know what Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes had to say about it yesterday at the podium talking to the media. The media, for some reason, does not want to let this story go. I, for the life of me, can't figure that out. Also at 7 a.m. this morning, we're going to take a look at what workers are most afraid to ask for inside the workplace. I think this is crazy. I understand it. But I think you can get what you're looking for here way easier than you can get more money out of the place you are. They would give you this way before they would be willing to give you more money. So we'll take a look at what workers are upset about. We'll do that coming up at 7 a.m. this very morning. You can reach out to the program using the microphone talkback button on iHeartRadio. There is also the text line at 330-450-7625, and you can also find me on your socials. That at thestansberryshow.com.
Here's what's next on the Stansberry Show.
Okay, so yesterday, I saw a debate online at somebody else's profile, brought it over to mine, and I wanted to examine it on the program a little bit. Who is better? People love these conversations, right? Who is better, Freddie Mercury or Robert Plant? We'll examine this, and we'll do that here next on Rock 106.9. 9 a.m., I'll rock the bank with you. Pass out that first $1,000 keyword. Also, take a look at Scott Stapp and what he said about the hatred of his band. He's halfway to a point here, but he's blaming the wrong people. We'll get there. Speaking of performers, though, what we should maybe talk about is you might be getting cheaper concert tickets soon. Did you see this? The Justice Department and a couple of states are expected to file a lawsuit. This could be as fast as today against Live Nation. They're essentially citing alleged antitrust violations, at least in part due to the market dominance that the company's Ticketmaster unit seems to have. They say a successful antitrust case could potentially lead to sweeping changes in the market for live events. This, of course, was brought about again in 2022 after some glitches had blocked millions of people from purchasing tickets to see Taylor Swift's Eras tour. And there were a lot of complaints about this. The complaints about Live Nation, which, by the way, was founded in 1976. People pretend like this is a new problem that's just fallen out of the sky. It's not. Eddie Vedder was literally talking about this in the early 90s. Artists before him were doing it in the 80s and the 70s with this. People are saying, oh, all of a sudden that they've had the monopoly and now tickets are out of control. It's like, dude, they've been had their hands in this since before you and I were going to shows. Like, has it gotten progressively worse as far as pricing goes? Yeah, but the artists are going to have something to do with that too, especially now. We'll get to that here in a second. As for the critics of Live Nation, we're being told that the Swift issue brought about, well, a lot of conversations about the lack of competition has led to, dangers for you, and the dangers meaning more money, essentially, of what it is you're going to have to pay. And I would agree that ticket pricing has gotten to a place that's kind of nuts. I have always said I believe more live music is better for people. I think it's good for the soul. I think it helps keep you younger. Enjoyment will do that. Same kind of thing if like you really love going to a football game, kind of the same thing. And ticket pricing has gotten out of control. Now lawmakers are looking to bring an antitrust suit. During the 3-hour hearing that they had, I guess this was January, they pressed Live Nation president and CFO Joe Berchtold and some other witnesses on whether his company was too dominant in the industry. And they're the name, I'll say that. They're the first name you probably think of, Ticketmaster anyway, not necessarily Live Nation, but I guess these days they're kind of one and the same, and so for some of you it would probably be one and the other would be the other. You know what? It's probably going to break down by age there. For me, when I hear concert tickets, I automatically think Ticketmaster. It's kind of one of those things. And again, it goes back to the Eddie Vedder days of this isn't right and this shouldn't be this much. And there's the old video of Kurt Cobain being shocked. People were charging $50 for concert tickets back then, and welcome to inflation and, price hikes of everything over years. And of course, today, $50 isn't what it was when Nirvana was touring and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see if they get some movement here. I don't know how you're going to do ticket pricing these days and not have a corporation like that involved in it when you start talking about national tours. People want to buy tickets for this venue and travel out of town to go see it. A large corporation is going to make that easier to do. I think the third-party sites have driven up ticket pricing pretty dramatically too. Now, once you start looking into who owns those, some of these companies have their hands in some of those too, and so that brings out an interesting point in that. It's, to me, that feels like options without really having one, right? Let's say it's the perception of options versus actually having them. There's also going to come the conversation of you and I, though, because we do sports or concerts or whatever, but we do this with everything. You should pay more. Okay. They earned. Fair. But the money comes from us, right? At some point, some of this is artist greed. I know nobody wants to admit that, but it is partially artist greed, depending on the artist, right? This is where this conversation gets real tricky, is A, B, C, D level touring bands, right? But some of it is artist greed. For sure. Absolutely it And it's almost, these days, hard to even push back on the artist having the greed. What? Why? Well, back in the day, you could have maybe went to the artist and said, you got to give them a break on the ticket pricing, dude. They bought 4 records in a row, dude. Like, last 4 records went like triple platinum. We're making money hand over fist here, dude. Give them a decent ticket price. But we steal the art now. The bootleg t-shirts trying to make all of their money back. And this is stock in this company, because like people were saying, dude, live events are over. I was like, no, it isn't. Live events will never be over. This is the only way these unwashed morons make money anymore. They don't make money off their shirts. They don't make money off their music. They don't make money off of any of this stuff anymore. They're all signing 360 deals. Like, there's not, like, dude, they have to get their asses out there on that road or nobody is getting paid. Trust me, live events are coming back. I kept saying it because this is the only way the money is generated. This is when Gene Simmons is out there telling guys like Charlie Rose and all these other dudes that rock and roll is over. This is what he means. Is that there's not really a way to make money anymore unless you're already selling out the stadiums. So I want cheaper ticket prices for you. And market dominance of corporations is definitely on the list of reasons why they are high. It isn't the only reason. But you don't get to look at or examine the other reasons until you start knocking on the doors of all of them, right? And then you kind of piece it all together. So we'll see what we get here. I am a pessimist. I'm not all that optimistic you're going to end up with a $70 ticket for your favorite band. You know what I mean? The Rolling Stones are worth money. I've been in the live event game for a long time through working at the radio station. Anytime a big show's in town is when my phone blows up the most. You know why? Because everybody wants to go. Demand and supply. It comes down to that. It's a valuable commodity because of how bad people want to go. You start talking Taylor Swift, it's a valuable commodity because people don't want to tell their kids, I can't afford to take you. We'll figure it out. We're going to go. And so then all of a sudden it becomes a valuable commodity. Some of the ticket prices are crazy. Like, I understand why it costs a couple $100s to sit real close. That I get. When you're paying $300 and you're up in the middle of nowhere, that's when it's like, what are we doing here? Like, there's a way to maybe do this. If you're this popular, what bands could do is play back-to-back nights in town. But not a lot of them want to do that. They want to sweep in like the bandit, grab all the money off the front of the stage, point to the corporation and go, that's the guy that just stole from you. Like, there's a little bit of truth in that. They're both guilty, absolutely. But the audiences will never blame the band. Because you love them, because they wrote, I don't know, whatever, Thunderstruck or whatever the hell it is you like, right? And so it's like we kind of shift the blame. Everybody's greedy in this situation. It reminds me of like when I was watching that documentary about Woodstock 99, and like all those artists were like, oh my God, they were charging what for water? And it's like, you guys were there. You were sitting back in that plush tent. You knew it was 120 degrees outside. None of you thought to ask, like, hey, are we making sure people are safe before I go out here and play? None of you thought it was all after the fact? Like, guys, come on. You just knew you didn't give a damn. You were there, you got paid your money to go out there and be the Red Hot Chili Peppers, let everybody light the field on fire, and you did it. Come on, right? Like, we kind of know what's happening there. Will more competition drive prices down? I hope so. I don't know that will be true. Right? There's plenty of competition in the fast food space right now. I don't know if it's driving prices down for you, right? But I think it is going to come down to everybody's going to have to be willing to go, you know what, we're going to end up we have to make less money. And this has almost got a legitimate beef here. Nah, dude, you're giving me the $350 for the show. 8 a.m., the media not done with Harrison Butker just yet, and it's because they can't get you angry about it. So they're trying, but America refuses to take the bait, and they're upset about that. So we'll get to that coming up at 8 o'clock. We had been talking about a lawsuit may come as early as today, we were told yesterday. The Justice Department and a group of states are planning to sue Live Nation, and they're the concert giant, obviously, that owns Ticketmaster. And I've been hearing And like, you know, look, here's the thing. Have they done everything great? No, probably not. But some of this is, I just hate the companies, right? Like, there is some of that. Eddie Vedder was complaining about ticket pricing, you know, in the 90s. You know, everybody says, oh, you know, look at like Lollapalooza 97. It was like $40, price it now. Then why was Eddie Vedder complaining about the $40 ticket price then? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's never not been the argument. I was at all those shows. I was at the very first Lollapalooza. As a matter of fact, I went to 3 of them. I've been to a million shows. Yes, have I gotten free tickets to a lot of things that I have seen since I have come into the radio business? Yes, most things. That's why when I had to buy, as a matter of fact, I bought tickets for Florida Georgia Line of all damn things. A woman I was dating, her daughter wanted to go more than anything in the world. I was like, all right. I tried to call in a favor. People are like, bro, do you have any idea how big these people are right now? I was like, all right, fine. And I called somebody who I knew had a ticket, and I paid. It was something insane. I think it was like $300 a ticket or something. So I was like $1,000 into that night, and I remember thinking, I was like, this is why people are mad. like this right here is why people are mad. And I think 300's getting a little crazy, especially depending on where you're sitting, you know. But it's never not been the argument. My dad complained about how much a ticket cost to go to see his band in the 60s and 70s when he was growing up because they were making less money. You know what I mean? This is, you know, you could get a cheeseburger for 10 cents in my day. It's like, yeah, but you worked for 30 cents, right? And so, like, there's one of those arguments in this too, but you're definitely seeing greed inflating prices. I'm not going to tell you that's not happening. I'm just going to tell you, is it the guy in the suit that you think, you shouldn't even be in the music business, you don't even know how to play. Wait till you find out that guy in the suit absolutely does know how to play. There's that, right? And beyond that, it's the guy that plugs into the Marshall stack who's a little bit greedy too. For Kaya, she says, you know what my issue is? It's the service fees. And she said sometimes it can be as much as the ticket. That bothers me. I got to admit that here a little bit. I look at service fees on tickets the same way I would look at interest on a school loan. You know, everybody's debating the school loan thing and, you know, alleviating the debt and all of that. My whole plan from the beginning was we should be capping interest rates, right? And then not only should we cap the interest rate, we should then cap the interest limit. It's like, yes, everybody know they took out the loan, but dude, if it triples by the time you get it paid back, like, that's probably a little crazy, right? And so that was my plan there. I like the idea of capping a rate on a service fee, because I got to be honest with you here, I don't know what the service fee is for anymore, right? Like, you're buying these things off of algorithms. That's literally why there was a problem with the Taylor Swift issue. There's no perfect system yet that anybody's thought of. And here's what I mean. I remember having to go back, I think it was the back of Kaufman's in the mall, in like behind the ladies section. And then that's where the Ticketmaster window was. We had to go to Randall Park Mall. I'm willing to bet you guys did it here in Belden, right? And you had to walk in there. You go in the back of the store, and everybody knew when Cinderella or Crew or the Priest or whatever was in town, because like the ladies section was filled with idiots like me in leather jackets and all this crazy stuff, right? And you stood in line, bought tickets. I remember telling this woman I was dating, I remember telling her daughter and her boyfriend, I was like, I literally was in a sleeping bag and I slept out in front of venues in the middle of the winter to get Kiss tickets. And they were like, you slept outside? I'm like, yeah, man, that's what you had to do. Like, you had to really want to go then. Guys to different points, they would buy all the tickets and then they'd be out in front of the venue. And that was driving ticket pricing. And it did. Probably not as much as what you're seeing now. And that's essentially, yeah, you know what, like, dude, the third-party ticket vendors are kind of like banks, right? Like, you're not allowed to loan shark unless you incorporate. Then all of a sudden you're allowed to loan shark all you want, right? And it's a little bit of a similar situation there with them. And so that, I think, drives up some of the pricing too, right? And so I don't know I honestly, this is one of those times where it's like, there may be a fix. I'm not sure there's going to be a perfect one. This to me feels like a popcorn headline. And by that I mean this feels like, oh, something's going to happen. And then the guy who has my job 30 years from now is going to be telling you about, dude, Stansbury was complaining about this in 2024 with, you know, Taylor Swift. And he was there when it was Pearl Jam yelling about it in 92. And he was that. Today's money always seems insane. And if you go back on ticket prices from 30 years ago, yeah, dude, my dad saw Led Zeppelin in the park for $5. $5. But that was a lot of money. Like it was a lot of money. Now, was it the same as how much you're paying now? That's a little bit of a different argument, and there is where you would have a solid argument on some money that is like, some of this is a little too excessive. Absolutely. But again, I don't know how you're going to convince the artist to lower their end, because they're already bitching about not being paid enough because of streaming. Again, essentially the same exact problem with the music as we're talking about with the tickets. They're already not making the money off the streaming. You probably are buying less shirts because of how much the ticket cost you. You're probably going to less shows because of how much the ticket. So like sooner or later, somebody's going to have to figure it out, because I think $300, I'm paying service fees, and you're going to start to see people evaluate artists on, are you actually worth the money to see you play live? I don't think I'm getting $25 tickets again, that I know. But I will have to start to make the evaluation of, are you actually worth the money that I'm going to pay? Now, when you start talking, my kids want to go, you're doing it. You don't think Disney's worth the money, but they do, right? So you go. And like, that's kind of how it works. That's what parents do. You give your kids the experiences that they are looking for when possible. I do wish that was easier for you, but I wish it was easier for you at Disney as well. You know what I mean? And so this is going to be a tough fix, and it won't be overnight. I'm not sure competition will lead to lower ticket prices. I actually am such a pessimist that I think this is one of those times where it may actually increase it. 9 a.m., I'll get you paid out with a $1,000 Rock the Bank keyword. Use that for whatever you want. Summer vacation, concert tickets maybe. Whatever it is you're after. We'll help you afford it. 9 a.m., get that passed out. All right, we talked a little bit about the concert ticket pricing a little bit, and so now I figure, you know what, let's talk a little just musicians themselves, band themselves. And now you'll have to excuse me here. I have some of this on the second button bar, and I'm not going to be able to do that. Otherwise, you guys are going to hear that. Should be fine. There we go. All right. So the question was asked online the other day, and interesting question, and I do sometimes get accused of being a little too hateful of one of these bands. But Freddie Mercury or Robert Plant, who was greater? And she says, I found this on Reddit. I found it through her, so I asked the question. Now, I have been hyperbolic on Queen, right? While hosting radio programs, newsflash, occasionally what you'll do is make sure people understand what it is your point is. And so through that, an exaggeration, man. No way, right? Kind of breaking through. And I have said, I feel like Queen is overrated. And we talked overrated the other day with Breaking Bad and that, and I was like, look, overrated does not mean sucks. It means damn good, probably, but not as good as I'm told. And I do maintain that's kind of where I have Queen. That's just kind of where I have them. Are they good? Well, yes, they are really, really good. They're not very much of a rock band. At least I don't necessarily hear them that way all that much. I mean, there's this good song, not necessarily devil horned out, right? But it's a damn good song. Although, as I prefer Led Zeppelin, let's not pretend that they didn't have this one. Not necessarily a rock out song there. But a damn good song, right? Robert Plant was simping a lot, dude, for the women back in the day. He was always crying about not having the woman around in a lot of these songs now that I'm looking at them. For me, I don't think it's close. I always give Freddie the credit on the voice. I think he may have had technically the better voice than Robert Plant had. Robert Plant had better songs. And I don't think it's close. I really don't. I love Robert Plant is better, but you're asking people the question. My answer is Robert Plant. Somebody said to me yesterday, Freddie Mercury's the better frontman of the band, but Robert Plant, he agreed with me that Robert Plant had better songs. And I was like, wow, like, I disagree Freddie's the better frontman. As a matter of fact, when somebody says to me, and this is just my evaluation, when somebody says to me, frontman, there are like 3 names that pop out. I'm going to honorable mention this one because he's kind of my guy, but I know most people wouldn't put him in this, although I think that they should. Paul Stanley is like the consummate frontman. Like, he is a great frontman. But I get it. Kiss isn't musical. They kind of suck. They sold t-shirts, not records. I get it. I know the whole argument, right? So we'll leave them off to the side. But when I think frontman, I think 3 guys. David Lee Roth, Steven Tyler, and Robert Plant. That's it. Those are the frontmen. Like, the best band ever, oh, you could maybe go with Ozzy. You know, it would, yeah, you know what? Go Rushmore there and give me Ozzy. Fair enough. I'll throw Ozzy on it. Pretty damn good. You know, his solo stuff, is he a frontman? There are Dio fans who are going to want to edge Ronnie in over Ozzy. I love Ronnie. I love a lot of what Ronnie had to do there, but I'm not gonna as the better frontman, at least for me, because like I just don't see it that way. Robert Plant to me that's the model. Like, most of the frontmen I really like looked at Robert Plant and was like, I got to figure out how that guy does it. If I figure out how that guy does it, oh, you know what? This came in off the text line 330-450-7625. Stansbury, I'm sorry. Did you just do a Mount Rushmore of frontmen and Mick Jagger isn't on it? Oh, damn. Dude, you know, like that's, I didn't expect Queen and Led Zeppelin to make that happen. Yeah, we would. It happened. He is a great frontman. But I think Zeppelin's catalog is just that much better. And that's sad, dude. I'm saying that about it. I like Queen. Like, I like this. I Want to Break Free, which, by the way, guys, what do you think this song was about? What do you think? What do you think this one was about? I wonder what the inspiration for that one was about. Like, keep all this stuff out of my heart, man. This your agenda shoving it down my throat, man. I like this one too.
I want it all. I want it all.
That's really good, dude. But you start talking Zeppelin or Robert Plant versus Freddie Mercury. Again, I know this started as Plant versus Freddie. Like, leans on. He could get to 3 octaves. Pretty good. You know who could get to 5? Axl Rose. 9/8. Keyword up for grab. Freddie may have the better voice than Robert Plant, but Zeppelin had way better catalog. It's not even close. Right? Queen at Live Aid was like a whole... I've seen big bands get swallowed by big stages. Freddie he had you in the palm of his hand. The world had a complete Queen resurgence. Like, guys in my position, they weren't playing this a whole lot.
Is this the real life?
When they had to go to the bathroom, maybe. But, like, other than that, like, it would get played, yes, but it wasn't being played like the way it was after that. All of a sudden, dude, that had Queen having a major resurgence. That's why when everybody was like, these idiot kids, they don't even really know Metallica. They're just picking it up from Stranger Things. Yeah, that's what our dads thought about us falling in love with Queen because of Wayne's World. Right? That's literally what happened there, too, right? So that's kind of one of those things. I also brought up the fact that Freddie Mercury, it has been tested and ranged. Freddie Mercury could hit 3 octaves. Axl Rose could get to 5. He technically has a stronger singing voice. Now, you go see videos of Axl today, and it sounds like, oh my God. But you forget that when that first album came out, Appetite, the vocals were so different on some songs, like from every other song. Initially, people thought Guns N' Roses was one of those bands that had more than one lead singer, or had more than one singer singing in the band, a la Kiss. Ironically, Paul Stanley was supposed to produce this record. And thank God he didn't, because it wouldn't have been this good. But people thought this was Slash, not Axl, because the vocal was so different. Axl early had all the ability. Like, some people will tell me, dude, you can go back and see videos. Yeah, dude, every performer's had some bad shows. I was in the building. Like, I saw them when they toured with Metallica more than once. I saw more than one of those. My friends and I were like, oh, we packing bags, baby. We going to these. And we went to a few. I was there in 07 at what was then Gund Arena, I believe, or the Q, now Rocket Mortgage, when he had Buckethead in the band, Guns N' Roses. He was great, and I mean great, that night. He was damn good. You closed your eyes, you would have thought it was 1986. They were amazing. And then I saw him, was it 2015-ish? Somewhere right around there, they came and they played again Rocket Mortgage, and he wasn't probably as good then. Came out that he had maybe more range than Freddie Mercury. People got offended by it, so they tested it. And it's like, no, dude, he did it. It's, I mean, dude, lyrics enough. The songs are pretty good. The songs are pretty good, right? Like, Guns N' Roses, pretty good. I think their legacy would actually be stronger had Use Your Illusion been stripped down and, right? Just give me what I need. Who, what, when, and where. I don't need anything else. Just give me that, right? And I feel like the Use Your Illusion albums were a little guilty of that. There was some filler on there, and if you stripped it down and you made one record, but it's like which ones go, which ones stay, you and I would maybe debate those. And so, and maybe the band would too, so screw it, we're Guns N' Roses, we'll put them both out, right? It's kind of one of those things. But I think if you streamline those down and you have just a Use Your Illusion album and it's the best of both those records, I think they were, I mean, rocking. Like, it's, some of that is, it feels a little watered down. And then the 13 years for the Rob Halford suggestions here as great frontman. Yeah, I would go, if we were going to limit it to like metal, like pure metal, Rob Halford is a pretty good frontman. Again, people, you know, we have a difference of opinion here. I will take Bruce Dickinson. Of the day, I would take Bruce over Rob there. That's just a preference. And it is because I enjoy Iron Maiden records more than I enjoy Judas Priest. Screaming for Vengeance is damn good, man. It's cover to cover greatness. I mean, there's not a bad song on that record, dude. I'll take all of them. Fever. That whole record is just, dude, it's non-stop.